seen that movie, but I know it's good. I do have it. Thank you guys for being here. Oh wait, there's a on. Yeah, there we go. Hey, oh, that works. Okay, hi, everyone.
All right.
So, I've never been here. I've never been to Midland, Odessa. I didn't know it was called that. It is actually not Midland by itself. It is Midland, Odessa, right?
Or both. You can either be inside actually Midland or Odessa.
The middle part's called Midessa.
Midessa.
It's just a little.
Gotcha.
Like all 5 feet of it, you know.
But Midland is considered like the big brother, right?
Yeah.
Because someone was telling me that like, this Midland is the more is the fancier one.
You raise a family in Midland, you party in Odessa.
Odessa makes all the Midland people money.
Now, which one was here first?
Odessa?
So then Odessa was like, there's no city that's going to come by and take our, you know, we're the best one, right? We're going to be the best forever. We don't need to do anything to fix that. And then Midland was like, oh yeah? And then they rose up, pretty much. Now, how far away are the cities from each other?
15.
So why do they need 2 different cities?
Eventually.
Really?
You got like 90,000 Odessa and over 100,000.
Oh, it bumped
Really?
over like 3 times over.
Where were they yesterday? I was walking around last night. I didn't see 100,000 people. Okay.
Ready to see you tonight.
All right, right. I'm resting up like I was doing. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I am probably the only Todd in the building because that's a very odd, rare name. I don't like that name, but I've got to put up with it, I guess. I've had it for a while. But I've had the pleasure of working on some shows that I'm seeing people dressed as and that are on your shirts, like Italy, and Natalia was fun, and then Natsu from Fairy Tale. And I was just remarking with someone that Natsu has really only 2 teeth, 2 giant teeth. One on top, one on bottom. Just one big tooth. And it's so funny what animators will animate or what they won't animate. And on paper, if I'm telling you, hey, I'm going to draw this character, but I'm only going to give him 2 teeth, is that cool? You'd be like, no, 2 teeth, what? And then when you see it, you're like, oh, I get it, that works. I don't understand. But Natsu, and then is that the kid from Soul Eater, and then Hikaru from War on High School Host Club, so lots of fun characters. And I remember, I always say we need more well, we got more Deep Grey Man, more Soul Eater. We need more Soul Eater.
Yes.
But the thing is like we did 52 episodes, but it feels like it wasn't enough. I feel like when we did that show, originally it was when we were recording a little bit differently in terms of recording episodes, and there was a time when 52 episodes would have taken years to do, but we did it in probably 8 months. And that was super fast, because I thought, oh, it's 52 episodes, we'll be working on this show for a long time, I'm gonna get so sick of it, but I never did because it was so fast. But it was, that was a fun show to work on, and I had, a lot of times people say, well, were you excited to begin working on this show? And a lot of times, I don't know anything about the show when we started, nothing. So like with Fairy Tale, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what it was about. I knew there was a fire wizard, and I'm like, I want to be that guy. And so when I auditioned for him, I didn't know what he was. I mean, I knew the description of him, but I didn't know, was he a big part? Was he a little part? Is he in the show much? Is he really blue or what? I didn't know. So it was fun to get that role, but when I auditioned for it, I didn't think that I got it. And it turns out that Tyler, the director, immediately wanted me for that role, but was purposefully making me think I didn't get it. Because when you love people, you try to deceive them. That's always fun. And so when I, for years I thought that, and then just this past year he told me, he goes, no, actually, I wanted you for that role from the beginning, I just didn't want you to think that. And I'm like, oh, good, manipulation, great. Awesome. Glad we're going to be working together. No, but it's been really nice. Tyler is amazing on the show in terms of he directed it, really kind of produced it, wrote a lot of it. He knows more about the show than anybody. He's read all the manga, he's seen all the episodes multiple times, so he's like the authority on it. So I don't read the manga because when he works on a show, typically that's the one show he's going to be working on. So he's going to know it really, really well. I go in and work on fairy tale. That's one of maybe 5 shows I'm working on that week. So I don't, it's not really conducive to catching up on every single show that I'm working on. I would love to be able to read all the mangas, because I'm a big comic book guy. Are there any comic book fans in here?
Woo!
Okay, right on. So, should I see Black Panther or no?
Yes.
Okay, I do want to see it. I want to see it at the drive-in theater.
Oh, yes.
But
That is a better experience.
yeah, I haven't been to a drive-in since, I think the last time I saw a drive-in movie.
There's one here in Midland.
That's exactly what I was just thought. Yeah, that's what I want to see. Black Panther. But the one that I saw Spider-Man 2 on the biggest North American drive-in screen, which is technically in Canada. Which still counts, it's still North America, but when you think of America, you think of just, you know, not Odessa of the country. But according to you guys, I'm basing on what you said. So how many people have been here your entire life in this area? How many people, you were born here, you're gonna die here? Because you love it so much. You're probably gonna die probably with your eyes open, in the middle of gardening or doing some project. Guys, I don't know what that's like. I don't know what it's like to stay in one place. And I went to so many different high schools and schools. It kind of bummed me out because what you guys have, those of you that were born and raised here, you've got a whole network of people that you've grown up with and that you know, and you kind of have your posse. You're probably a gang member the way I say it. But I don't have that. I have people spread out all over, and it's like it's hard to gather and get together with friends and stuff, so I don't really, like on a Friday night, I'm sure you guys are out partying, right?
No.
What are you doing? What happens?
Watching anime.
Well, where are those 100,000 people?
Watching fairy tales.
They're partying in the oil field? They're throwing unrefined oil at each other? It's a strange pastime. But we have kale in California, so I get it. So there are 100,000 people here. Friday nights you do nothing.
Apparently.
You're really selling the town on me. Yeah, I love it. I do like, there's apparently Eric had commented that there's like the world's best chicken fried steak here, right?
On Wall Street, those restaurants.
What's it called?
Wall Street.
The restaurant's called Wall Street?
On Wall Street.
Wall Street on Wall Street. And they have the best chicken fried steak?
Pretty good. Good gravy on it too.
Good gravy. Okay, so, I mean, I don't eat meat, but I would go off the reserve to try it because I like to have little experiences like that. I'm not, when I moved to California from Texas, you know, I told myself there were certain things that I would never do once I moved there, because there's a certain point where you become a caricature when you live in LA. You're like, oh well, you're in LA, like I bet you have lattes and you wear scarves and blah blah blah. And I do those things, but I have a diet that is typically associated with people who live in LA, but it's not because I live there. So I say that because like I will go and tackle some chicken fried steak if I gotta get in there and get nasty with it, and I will. Just to have that experience and try it. So we'll see what happens, and I guess I gotta get the gravy on it. Now how about the biscuits? What are we talking about? Are they good or are they just standard?
Well, you can ask for briskets or not, or biscuits or not, but they don't. It's one of those where it's just the fried steak, but you can actually get a different.
A la carte. Yeah? Chicken fried steak a la carte is what you're saying they have there at the Wall Street restaurant.
I guess so, you could say that.
Okay, but it's an item by itself, so it would be a la carte. Okay, so technically. Okay. So how come on Friday nights people don't have a little chicken fried steak gathering? If it's the best in the country. You're welcome for that idea. So next Friday, I want to see a gathering, and I want to see like trophies handed out for who eats it the fastest in an hour, how many you can eat, because they're about what, that big.
Are you going to pass it up?
What's that?
Are you going to pass up here?
I mean, I need to see the design first. But you should totally do eating contests, like how many can you eat in a certain amount of time, or can you finish one whole one in an hour with all the sides? Like if someone orders it, the chicken fried steak and all the sides on the menu, you have an hour to eat it.
First place is is called Rainbow Buster, second place, Nazi Brag Wheel.
Not everybody's perfect. So, you should try that, and then you should do one where it's like, how many blizzards can you eat in an hour? Or like, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. You guys should be doing some things on Fridays and Saturday nights, right?
There ain't much.
There's not much to do that you're about to create things to do, right? What's that?
They're always out of order.
They're always, yeah, really.
Some people call this like the ghost town, so.
Last night, like, it felt like that. When I walk around, I saw people like shuddering the wind because I'm walking by and I'm like, they're just blue pants. What's like? I felt like people were like, they're like, who's that from around?
Just as bad as it is in Odessa. Just as bad.
Oh, okay, really? Because I was walking and people were staring at me, and I was like, what? I have a mint Oreo blizzard. Like I'm one of you. I'm like, look, we're on the same team here. But I was definitely getting looks. I didn't like it. Because when I grew up, I went to a high school. I went to 3 high schools. One of the high schools I went to was in South Carolina, and I was the only Asian in the entire school, the only one. And I tried to do things to fit in because we all want to fit in, right? When we go to school. So that's what I called those that was my WWE year. That's when I got familiar with smelling what the Rock was cooking. That's when I was aware of the people's elbow. But I tried to fit in by watching wrestling, and definitely got made fun of because I was of Oriental descent. But you guys don't make fun of each other here, right? And you guys are above that.
Go to high school.
You make wait, what did you say? You make fun of each other if you're friends?
With friends, it's kind of like a joke.
I can't be mean to you, you're not my friend. That's basically what you're saying.
It's disrespect.
It is disrespect.
No, it's just respect.
Oh, it's just respect. So if I make fun of you, it means I'm trying to respect you. Huh. I have a feeling that's not how it works in the rest of the world. Maybe I haven't been here long enough.
No, go to high school.
So it'd be like I'm walking down the street and like, oh my God, those guys are beating up that guy. No, they're friends. Oh. Sorry, 911, cancel that. Good to know. Okay, good to know. Anything else I should be aware of in Midlandia? What's that?
You can put stakes outside the summer without actually meeting a girl.
It gets super hot.
Oh, yeah.
And it's dry.
And if fire can just burst around here, we can just have wildfires and tear and burn down power lines and power poles.
So there were fires that burned down power lines? So that means fire and power lines are friends.
There was a wildfire yesterday.
There was a wildfire yesterday?
Yeah,
and nobody saw it because no one was around.
It was by the highway, so it was kind of noticeable.
It was ignored.
Okay. I have a feeling nothing's very far from anything. That's what's convenient about it. If I want to go to this restaurant, bam, I'm right there. I want to go to the store, the watch store, bam, I'm right there. That's pretty convenient. There's a whole festival going on outside in downtown. Like there's food trucks and there's definitely a band playing because that's what woke me up today. They were sound checking at 8 a.m. It was great. It's awesome. Top 40. Yeah, so when I was there was one time I think one of my few times in Texas, when I lived in Texas, I got 3 tickets total in all the years that I was in Texas. The last ticket I got was a speeding ticket because it was so hot outside that I'm like, I bet you I could bake cookies inside the car. And so I went to the store and I bought a cookie sheet, a piece of sheet, and I put cookie dough on it, and I put it in the car during a session, and when I came out, they were cooking. They were totally cooking. And so when I'm driving, I'm having to hold the pan up on the dash, and so I'm not paying attention exactly how fast I'm driving, and so, woo, whoop, whoop, car pulls me over, and he comes over and he's like, are you baking cookies on your dash? Absolutely, sir, you are welcome to have one. He still wrote me a ticket. But in 5 hours, totally baked. Absolutely baked. It works, and your car smells like chicken fried steak. It's so rotten. No, it smelled good. And I was actually going to do a session with a Japanese client over at Sabbath Studio, and they brought gifts for you. Like when you work, typically when you work with in my experience, when you've worked with a Japanese client, they'll bring you gifts and such, give me to sign things. So I was like, I don't have a gift for you. I was like, oh wait, I do have a gift. Come with me to the car. So I opened the door, and I forget, to me, because it was my idea, that it makes sense to me, but to them that they have no clue. I'm like, eat one of these cookies I just cooked in my car. What? And so I gave them the cookie, and I made them eat it. I go, eat it. And I wouldn't budge until they took a bite. And I'm like, it's good, isn't it? But they have to be polite. So he's like, oh, yes, it's a very good cookie. Why aren't you eating the rest of it? And I didn't see them for a long time. But they were okay with it, because I saw them later and they were totally cool with it. But yeah, so it totally works. My next experiment is going to be to try an egg. I'm a little worried about that one, because that one you can't really cook over the course of 5 hours. I feel like you need to kind of cook it right away. I don't know, maybe not. But if it's all kind of boiling up and heating up, then maybe it can take a long time. But you're saying that here, you can totally cook on a sidewalk out here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's summer.
Guys, that's another Friday night activity you could be doing. Why do I have to come up with all the ideas? Cut to Mayor of Midlandia, Todd Haberkorn. It gets super cold here? Does it snow here?
No. It
freezes. Oh, ice. So it's ice. You know what I don't understand about ice is, or what other people don't understand about ice, is they make fun of Texas because they're like, oh, you guys just have a little bit of ice. We've got 13 inches of snow. And what they don't realize is, obviously, it's different. Ice is much more dangerous than snow, but people don't think about that. Yeah.
This place, every day, there's a car crash.
Oh, yeah.
There are a lot of
There's like
people.
3 or 5 each day.
Well, I get it. I mean, you know, especially if you're driving stick. Like I was talking about this earlier. Like, you need to have one hand on the wheel. You've got your drink, you're texting, you're doing all these things at the same time while you're driving. So, yeah, I can imagine there's a car wreck or two. Especially when you've got a screen in your car that you could hook up a Nintendo Switch to. If you're going up against a giant because you're trying to get some Near route in Skyrim, you got to be able to focus on them, because you have to time those attacks. It's not my fault that there happen to be other people on the road driving a 2,000-pound piece of metal at 60 miles an hour, and I feel like I'm safe enough to where I don't need to pay attention to that. Hey, that's their loss, right? Yeah. But I am happy to be here and look around and take in it looks like a little Houston to me. That's what I was saying when I first got in. It's like a little baby Houston.
There's no lakes. No lakes.
There's no lakes?
No lakes.
There's no lakes. There is water, though. I used the faucet water this morning. You can't tell me there's no water. I totally used it.
Water?
Well, isn't all water now cold when it's hot?
It's pretty much a gray storm.
It's a what storm?
Gray storm.
A gray storm? We don't need that. Ray can stay where he's at. Just need attention. And then there's chicken fried steaks. There's plenty to do here, but nobody wants to do it, and they all stay indoors. 100,000 people are indoors every night.
Unless it's like an actual carnival or festival going on. Sometimes.
There's drag racing?
Oh.
Oh, okay, very cool. So the guys get dressed up, you pick out your dresses. I like that. It keeps the cosmetic business in business. That's a really supportive thing. That's one thing that I really like. Y'all should be doing that. You're not old enough for drag racing yet. You're not going to be able to walk in the heels, I can already tell. Okay, so there is plenty to do. You know, you guys should also have this outdoor movie night. You should be doing something with that drive-in. You should be having video game tournaments on that screen with the drive-in. Wouldn't that be cool? Esports on there? Why do I have to come up with all your ideas? I'm doing it. I'm going to be the mayor of Midlandia. There's going to be a whole coat of arms that we create. It's got a big chicken fried steak in the middle of it. And it's got ghosts around it because it's ghost hunt. Are there hauntings that happen here?
Yes.
Tell me about these
Barn
hauntings.
door.
What?
Barn door.
There's a ghost of a barn door that flies around. Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What happens at the barn door?
It like opens and closes like on its own, like the doors do. Or, like,
You've seen it?
no. It's part of the legend that they have written in there.
Ah, I say I'm down for seeing some ghost stuff. I'm really open to it. My thing is like with aliens. I want to see some alien stuff, but what I don't understand is when it happens, when there's some alien situation, it seems that everyone's like, hurry, get our crappiest camera. I don't understand, like all these phones have 4K capabilities, but we get the shaky, like even when I'm on a ride, then my camera's more smooth when I'm on a roller coaster, because you're holding it. Whenever it's an alien time, it's like, do you see the alien? Like, I don't know what's happening with their arm. I don't understand. So at the barn door,
There's several different ones at Midland High School, not freshman high.
There's 3 in Odessa High School.
what do these ghosts do? Your homework? What do they do?
They break equipment.
They break equipment. Are you sure that's not someone who doesn't know how to use the equipment? And he's like, ooh, I'm a ghost. It's like, Mr. Sampson, you're the principal. You just don't know how to use that computer.
No, because things have been like cut off the ceilings before, and nobody has been in there. Like there's cameras watching, and then all of a sudden in the middle of the night stuff will fall.
That's creepy.
Yes.
Okay, what are some other ghostly things?
That goes to my homework.
Your ghost took your homework. Was the ghost named Laziness? Interesting. I've met that ghost several times. I've met that ghost. So how old are you? Yeah. When I was younger than that, I would get on my perfect homework doing situation. So here's how I would do my homework, especially when it was math homework. I just go. And this was at 9 o'clock at night, the perfect time to do homework. And you know what happened 15 minutes later?
You were asleep.
And my mom, she would just come in, she goes, son, you need to be doing your homework, son. Wake up, son. And then I'd wake up, and then she would walk out of the room. So that's why my mom did a lot of my homework. And I never really got to do much of it. But no, I did do my homework, but the problem is you can't lay down at 9 o'clock at night on your bed and think you're gonna do a lot of work. That's why they don't do business meetings like that. That's why you don't see lots of guys in suits getting on the conference table, laying down at 9 o'clock at night to hash out deals. They sit up. How many people do your homework laying down? You ghosts. You're supposed to sit in a well-lit room and do your homework right after school. Why do you want to do it right before bed? You know what I like to do before bed?
Sleep. No.
Bad question. Never mind. But you should be doing your homework after school. Just get out of the way. Okay, what else? What else do these ghosts do? Oh, this ghost came in and stole all these comic books and they were just in my room. I don't know what happened. Are these ghosts really excuses? Is that what this is? Tell me. More ghost stories. Explain.
Okay, I was actually doing my homework because like I woke up at like literally 3 o'clock in the morning, like, oh dear God, I forgot my homework. So I'm like doing it. Suddenly, off the desk, I see my alarm clock crying at me.
So you woke up at 3 in the morning. You were sleeping.
And did my and just like
You were doing your homework like a law-abiding citizen. You were doing nothing wrong.
And then suddenly I get assaulted by my alarm clock.
And you got assaulted by your alarm clock. What kind of alarm clock was it?
It was one of those annoying ones that
Did you tell it was that the clock was annoying? Did you say that to the clock? Because that's maybe why it flew off and hit you. Did you ever think about that? What did you just say? Did you argue with the clock? Is that what you said? So you're telling me you argued with the clock, you called it annoying, and you're surprised that it flew across the room and hit you. You woke it up at 3 in the morning. You're lucky that's all it did. Is that the only time that your alarm clock has done that to you?
No, right now we're actually for $2 million.
Wait, hold on. You're doing what for $2 million?
I'm doing it for $2 million.
You're suing your alarm clock for $2 million. You realize that the company that probably made the alarm clock is worth $2 million. Well, maybe you're a young entrepreneur, who knows? Do you often insult inanimate objects?
Very often. Just the other day while I was working on my Twitch digital, I literally made like one mistake with the triangle.
I don't like how quickly you can come up with examples of you insulting inanimate objects. Are you good to animals? Okay, good. That's what's important. Okay, I don't mind if you insult a spoon or a fork every once in a while, but I need you being nice to animals. Everyone in here is nice to animals, right? Of course. Yeah, because what they do to you, right? Okay. Even if they bite you, you probably deserved it. I mean, really, most of the time, if an animal bites you, you probably deserve it, because they probably were warning you along the way. They probably sent you an email, they probably tweeted at you, said, hey, back off, and you don't want to listen to their tweet, and then they bite you. What about cats? Well, cats are, we know where they come from. Hashtag Mordor. There are some sweet cats, though. I've seen a couple sweet cats. They're just, the thing is like cats love differently than dogs. We expect every animal that has 4 legs, we expect them to behave like a dog. So like, why doesn't this rhino like this chew toy? I put a sausage in it and everything.
Love differently.
They're all different, yeah, just like your ghost. There's a lazy ghost, there's a barn door ghost, there's an alarm clock ghost. Ghosts sound busier than you guys on a Friday night.
I'm watching videos.
You're watching what kind of videos? Wait, what kind of videos? Animation clips. Okay, all right.
Markiplier.
What's that?
Markiplier.
Markiplier. Never before in my life. Here's the thing. I figured it out with, so I always do wonder why aliens don't make themselves known if they're here. But if you said some of the things we do, what kind, like the aliens like, I wonder what kind of videos they're watching. Yeah, we're watching videos of someone else watch a video. That's our entertainment. Let's leave this planet. I understand. But, well, Thanos is coming, so we'll see what happens there.
You watch people play sports.
Yeah, that's true. We watch people play sports.
And pay the millions.
That's what we do. We do pay the millions. I got into the wrong business. Now you're depressing me. I should have been a football player. Maybe I'll do that Monday. So, do you guys have any questions? Yes, Princess Peach.
So I'm kind of curious. I know you voiced both Corikio and V3 and Teruto de Roboto. I wonder, out of those 2 characters, which one did you have more fun voicing? The perverted chef or the crazy anthropologist?
Well, I thought Corikio was a better dresser. I think Teruto, I like food. I'm a fan of it. And I'm a fan of people that cook food and make it tasty. So I like both. But I think, like, Corikio was stranger. It was creepier. It was more... It was just weird. That whole game series is very strange to me. I don't understand. I get the game premise, but it is pretty inventive that sliver of the industry that makes that game. So it's fun to work on. But they showed me the end of the game, and afterwards I'm like, I don't. What happened? And they go, we don't know. I'm like, didn't you guys make it? And they're like, yeah, we made it. And then I go, Ghost, what do you think about this ending? He just vanished through a wall. And I was like, did anyone else see that? So it was weird. It was weird. Yeah, he went to go eat at Barn Door or Wall Street. Okay. and drink unrefined oil. Another question? Let's see. Yes, sir.
It's a two-part. Are y'all going to make any more of Star Trek Continues?
Oh, good question about Star Trek Continues. Thank you for asking about that. So, for those of you that aren't aware, if you're looking for something to watch on a Friday night, on YouTube, on Vimeo, etc., there's a series called Star Trek Continues, and it's a very, very well-produced web series from Vic Mignogna. It was his baby. He put every ounce of effort into that thing, and I was happy to come along and play Spock in it. He was Captain Kirk, but it's because I know initially when people, especially when we had guest stars, we would say, hey, we're working on this fan series, would you like to work on it? Everyone across the board is always like, do I want to work on that? But then when they come to the set, every single time they go, this is such a well-run set, I had such an amazing time, and they love it. And so that, to me, speaks to the overall experience, especially if you like the original series. If you're a fan of Kirk, Spock, etc., you will love this show. I promise. You've got to check it out. So go on YouTube, watch. It's so fun. What's your? In terms of making more, we're done for now. You know, we did 6 years of it, so we did 11 episodes. And the way, that's not to say that if circumstances change, we wouldn't do more, in the sense that if Paramount or CBS, I guess CBS because Paramount owns the film rights, if CBS came to us and said, hey, here's the budget, we'd love for you to make more, totally, we totally would. It's just, it's difficult when, so we would film these episodes for 2 weeks at a time, twice a year. So to take a month off, really, on top of normal vacation stuff or normal work stuff, etc., is really hard to fit in for everybody, because a lot of people that worked on it, for example, the Scotty from the series, who was the original Scotty's son, he works at a hospital. He's for him to take off a month in a year is hard, is difficult for him. So multiply that by everyone that has a regular kind of 9 to 5 situation. And for me, every time I would go, without fail, jobs would be like, hey, we'd love to book you in the studio for, The Rock's producing a da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I'm filming Star Trek. So I would lose all these gigs. So after a while, you're like, oh man, we gotta, what's going on? So it would, if CBS came by and was like, here's a legitimate contract for it, here's a budget, this, mark this off as like an official gig that you can do, and don't worry about The Rock can wait, play with us, I would totally be up for that. So we'll see. What was your second part?
Are you going to be in Borderlands 3?
I can't comment on that. Next question. In the very back, Nightwing.
I was wondering, how do you get yourself put out for voice acting? Or any kind of acting anywhere?
Any kind of acting. Well, for me, I think that people need to know exactly the reason why they want to go into it. For me, it's because I didn't want anything else as much as I wanted to be an actor. It's just something that I can't even really describe it. It's kind of like, I'm sure some of you in here who are artists or photographers or cosplayers or dancers. I mean, there's just something that draws you to it, and you can do it for 12 hours a day. And yes, you're physically tired or mentally tired, but the next day you wake up, you're like, I'm ready to do more of it. When you have that feeling about something, that's your calling. And so I felt that. And also there are other factors involved. I mean, do you keep getting hired? Do people like what you're doing? You got to take those into account, because sometimes you see people that go on American Idol and you hear them and you're like, why is nobody telling you you can't do this? Like, sometimes you see that. But it's, I think I feel very lucky to have had that experience where I knew exactly what I wanted to do as a kid. And I honed my whole life to that, and it's a lifestyle. It's not just a job, it's a whole thing that I do every day, all the time. And so, when I was 10, it was something that I started with theater acting, and it kind of went from there to film and television, and voiceover was the last thing. But doing everything in that industry, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And so, I think what is unfortunate sometimes is that people especially when they're going to college. If you're about to go to college or you're in college, you're trying to figure out what you want to do. And so it's tough because sometimes you don't know what you want to do and you blink and it's been 5 years in college and you've changed your major 6 or 7 times. And I feel for people that go through that because I want you to find the things that you love to do and be able to start investing in that emotionally and effort-wise, etc. Because I think that what my mom illustrated to me is she always said, do what makes you really, really happy, what you want to do. And I think that I would tweak that a little bit. I would tweak it. What I would say is, get a list of all the things that you like to do and see if there's a connection between them. And that will just let you discover what it is you want to do. Because I think so many people think they can do everything. Because that's what we see in the movies. Like we see the chosen one. He's the hero. He saves the universe. And we see other people, like on social media, how many song quotes say, you know, do what you want to do, live like there's no tomorrow, blah, 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 blah. If we truly lived like there was no tomorrow, it would be utter chaos on this planet. So we don't really mean that. And also when you tell someone, you could do anything you put your mind to, that's not true.
No.
It's not true. It is not true. And I'm a parent too, so I get what I'm saying. Because here's the thing. If you think you can do any and everything, that's what happens, that can lead to you being in college and it's been 6 years and you haven't graduated yet. Because you think you can do everything, you're trying everything, and then you don't, then other people that decided on something are way up in their industry and you're still trying to figure stuff out. That's why it's so important to make that list, I feel. Figure out what it is that you're really good at, that you also love to do and that you can make money at, and that's the thing that you do. Because I think that when I was a kid, I was told I could do anything. I didn't want, luckily for me, I didn't want to do anything else. But it's better if you can hone in on the things that you like to do and make that focus. You kind of stick to the things that you like, and then you're full and you're satisfied. That's the same thing with stuff in life. That's what I think. I don't know, does that make sense? Yeah. You guys seeing that? Because I would love to be able to be a professional baseball player. Is that going to happen Monday? No. I'd love to be like Bono, a big rock star selling out stadiums. Is that going to happen Tuesday?
No.
No. But if you go by social media, I can do anything I want. Monday I could be a baseball player, Tuesday I can be a rock star, Wednesday I could be, now I can do that in the booth. But this, you know what I mean? It's a little different, it's a little tweak. So I hope that you guys find the things that you really love to do, and one that can be your job and be your passion, that you're good at, and that's what you go for, and that's how you make the world your own. I hope that you guys do that. And yeah, it takes some time, you gotta figure that out. That's what schooling's about, and that's what college is about, and honing in on it. I didn't know that I liked producing until I just tried it. And then I discovered it. But it was all about honing down what I want to do. And the thing for me is acting is what I love doing. That's the thing that I've invested, sorry, when I was 10. That's what I've invested the last 6 years in. And so I hope that it continues and that I get to do it till I'm at least 20. And then I want to do it past that. So we'll see what happens. Next week, yes.
How is working with Vic? What's one of the things you can do that pisses him off the most when you're filming with him? And one of the things you can do that pleases him the most?
What's one thing that I can do that pisses Vic off, and what's one thing that I do that makes him happy? One thing that I do that makes him happy is just agree with every and anything he says. It's on his birthday. Just agree to everything he says. Yes, baby, that's right, yes, yes. No, you look like you're 30, exactly, yes. He loves that. I'm joking. We joke, we kid. Remember about Friends? The thing that I do that he doesn't like is the opposite of that. Anything. I know how to push his buttons. He knows how to push mine. We're like a platonic married couple. Well, I mean, we're like a married couple. And so we know what to do to each other to make each other happy, to make each other sad, to make each other scared, to make each other mad. And it's good to, variety is the spice of life, right? See, that's one of those sayings, it's like, variety is good. We're creatures of habit. That's the other thing, that's what drives you crazy. So on one hand, you've got social media saying the live like there's no tomorrow, etc. And then you have another saying in that same, on your same newsfeed that says, value every day, cherish it like it's your last. Like really hone in and focus and be present. Well, how can you live like there's no tomorrow if you're honing in and focusing on that moment? It doesn't make sense. So that's why Facebook is crazy.
So that's what you do to piss them off sometimes?
Yeah, I've sent him Facebook screenshots, actually. It does keep them up at night, it really does. But that's a whole other, that's an after dark panel.
I'm just here waiting for Monica's panel.
Oh, right on. Well, thank you for giving me some of your time. Are you living like there's no tomorrow?
I don't know, I expect half a day.
Do you expect half a day tomorrow, then when you're going to end it all? What's going to happen? You're talking with somebody like, I'm having a great up to the halfway point of the day. I'll see you never. I'll be right back. Like, okay, that scares me a little bit. All right. Well, Monica's a good person to wait for.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen her before?
No, this is the first time. That's what they said.
Oh, this is the first time to hang with Monica?
Yeah.
Oh, I've known her a long time.
Although she mistakenly handed me one of the Funimation papers. I was like, oh.
Did you keep it?
Oh yes, I got it.
Right on. Did you sign up to all of Monica's social media stuff?
Oh no, she just gave me it.
But if you're cherishing the day like if there's no tomorrow, you should be signing up to all her stuff, right?
There's only half a day tomorrow, apparently.
There's only half a day tomorrow, but you've got to catch up on her newsfeed because you haven't signed up since right now, right? You're not living every day like this.
I want to pull it.
What did you do yesterday night?
Yesterday night, I just get ready for today.
Definitely not living every day like. And I'm auditioning. As traffic is waking up in LA, which is famous, I'm sure you've heard of LA traffic. It is totally true, and it is worse than you could ever imagine. It's really horrible. It really is awful. Like it's almost like your chicken fried steak. It's like you gotta have it to believe it. You gotta have some of our traffic to believe it. Because I can describe it to you, but you're like, in your head, because I know how little kids' minds work. You're like, I know better than them. Even though they live that traffic, I know better. That traffic's not that bad. Wait till you start driving, and then you go to LA. That should be a training course for your driving. You gotta get through that traffic. When I was a kid, I thought I knew everything. How many kids think they know everything? That's okay, I do too. That's all right, yeah, you think you know everything. I thought that too. Thought I knew more than my teachers in college, and that's how I almost got kicked out. Because they're like, maybe college isn't for you. And I'm like, well, I know more than my teacher that's a company member of the Royal Shakespeare Company. I know more than her, who goes and spends her free time rehabilitating orangutans. Surely I do. Because I spend my Friday nights watching, well, that was cool. I was watching Vampire Hunter D, but I wasn't out there orangutan. But anyway, is it time to go?
No, I was giving the thumbs up for Vampire Hunter D.
Oh yeah, Vampire Hunter D, absolutely.
You got like 6 more minutes.
Okay, right on. What's your question?
Are you as OCD as Death the Kid?
Am I as OCD as Death the Kid? Well, I don't know if I think we all have our little OCD moments. Like, I like, once things are in their place in my home, I like them there. That's their little area. They've paid the rent for that space for the next 10 years. I want it to stay there. Sometimes I evict things if I get cooler things. But I quit getting stuff now because it's like I don't have room for one more thing. Literally one more thing I have no room for because everything's so laid out because I like to be very particular about where it goes. So I was over at Skywalker or Lucasfilms, their facility, and they have a gift shop. And I'm like, damn it. Now I gotta get that R2 and C-3PO combo. They light up and they move. They're heavy. Every piece is made of metal. Every little thing, and I gotta get that. So I got it, and then I gotta go home, and I'm like, where am I gonna put it? And so I moved I have a shrine for Vic that has fresh fruit on it and incense, and so I moved it and put it there. But I'm like, no more stuff, no more. You know what I mean? Like, you got your room, you got your home exactly how you like it, right? But then you see that cool thing in the jailer room, and you're like, I gotta have that. I gotta have that Last Action Hero, that Last Action Hero action figure, which I totally did at a con in Texas once. I saw one, Jack Slater, And so I got it, and I have it, and he sits on my bookshelf. Yes, your question.
What was the longest studio session you had? Do they ever like hold you hostage to get what they want?
Oh, yes. When we did Sergeant Frog, I would do 12-hour days. 12-hour days. When I was on set for a movie I did, it was 19 hours. I've done audiobook sessions where we absolutely had to finish, so I've recorded through the night before. Yeah, there have been some, that's why you gotta love it. You better love it, ghosts. You better love what you're doing. Because if you don't love it, then you're not gonna put in 14 hours. You know, you just gotta, whatever it is. What do you like to do?
Me?
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm a full-time college student. I don't get to have fun.
It scares me a little bit that you say you don't do anything, because you're paying for that time, you know. But you don't do anything in college.
No,
You mean you don't do anything in your free time. You mean you study all the time.
pretty much.
Then that's the better way to phrase that. Because my kid brain goes, she doesn't do anything, then why are you going to college? What are you majoring in?
Energy technology?
Oh, you want to be mayor of Midlandia. Okay. So what drew you to that?
I was really into solar panels, alternative energy, so I started that program.
And you love it?
Yeah, I really liked it. Then my college canceled it, so I went into petroleum energy technology, which is basically programming and technician work for the oil rigs.
So they had a solar panel friendly major.
Yeah.
Solar energy, which employs so many people and is the future, they canceled it.
Yeah.
And then you went over to an oil-based major. There were so many things I have to say about that. But I love the fact that you went to that major. I think you should go forward and do the best you can in that major, because petroleum is the future. I'm sorry to hear that program got canceled. Can you go anywhere else? Can you transfer?
I have an associate's degree for general energy technology. I would just have to go to like Arizona or Colorado to get what I need.
You're going to get a general energy degree, but focus on petroleum. Focus on oil. Oil's the future.
Not really. I got scholarships to it, so.
Well, but do you see what she did? She found out what she liked. She honed in on it. Unfortunately, the game was changed on you. But that's how you find out what you want to do for a living. You cultivate your interests. That's really cool. That's the way to do it. Well, I hope you do eventually find your way back to solar energy. We need more of that. Turns out, there's a big star in the sky that has a ton of energy. We could totally use it. I think we got time for uno más?
You got 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Let's see. You pick the last 2 questions.
Promise it won't be a chicken fried steak or another. Okay. We're gonna go deep here. We're gonna go really deep.
I heard that on a set once, and
Yes.
that thing's happening.
Okay, so we'll change that. So this will be a good yes or no. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Listen. Let's just think about pineapple's trajectory for a second. Let's not hate on it just yet. Think about desserts. Pineapple's kind of the second cousin of desserts, even though it's so delicious. What comes on top of your desserts at steak places and stuff like that? Raspberry, strawberry. Those are the berries that get chosen. Those are the fruits that win. Cherry maybe gets in there. Across the menu board, those are the fruits that get love. So pineapple, what is pineapple doing? Pineapple's creating an alternate energy source to get out there. So it goes, what's a delicious thing I could be on? Pizza. And so then you have petroleum, which are all the other fruits saying, no, don't put pineapple on pizza. You're supposed to put other fruit on pizza. Pizza, only if it comes from Russia, of course, then you can put pineapple on it. I don't know anything about that. So yes, I think that pineapple on pizza is totally appropriate because there are a lot crazier things we do on this planet, such as canceling solar energy-based majors. What? The sun's only been around for 4 billion years. Why should we know more about it? Next question.
All right.
God, I can't.
That was really good. That was good.
I can't believe it.
So I think we need to kind of bring it back down here just a little bit.
Wait a minute. This is another form of going deep.
Okay. Maybe. Shall we stick with the pizza?
We can go wherever you want.
Okay. Thin crust. Oh Lord. Thin crust or deep dish?
Well, here's the deal. You say deep dish because it seems more fun on paper, but let's just get right down to it and really put ourselves in this place. So, here's the deal. What's the most important part of a pizza? The toppings, right? Because that's what you spend the most time on. Do they give you a ton of options with your crust? Nowadays, they give you probably 3. What do they give you more choices of? Toppings. So what's the most important part of the pizza? The toppings. If you eat a deep dish pizza, what are you going to be eating the majority of? Bread. If you eat thin crust, you get more of the important stuff, which is the toppings, because that's what you're paying for. That's what they say. Oh, you want basil on it? Yeah, that's $5. You want a solar panel on it? No, you can't have one. You can have this unrefined oil on it if you want. You all kinds of oil. We've got blue oil, black oil, red oil, yellow oil. Can I just have that solar panel? No, you can't have that. You can have more oil, though. No, it's not a conflict of interest. I have no money in oil. And so, with thin crust, you go cheese. If you're going to go cheese, because cheese is delicious. I don't eat cheese anymore, but when I did, I do remember the taste. I could do a whole panel on why I don't eat cheese. But I don't think you're ready for that. With cheese, you get a cheese plate. Like, you make that the superstar. That's like saying, I'm making a movie, but I'm going to have Tom Cruise play the paperboy for 2 seconds. No. If Tom Cruise is going to be in your food movie, he's the star, right?
Yes.
So if you're going to have cheese be the star, but cheese needs to be your star.
Right.
Cheese can't play with deep dish and all that kind of stuff. He's his own thing. He's the MVP. He's the A-Rod. I feel.
Me too.
Yeah. You know what would be really inventive? So when there's stuff in the crust, if they put other toppings within the cheese that goes into the crust, stuff that you can't get on the topping, so like croutons, right in the cheese, in the crust, so you get the crunchy, the potato chips, because if you're getting a hamburger pizza, you eat it with potato chips. You put it in the crust with the cheese. Why do I have to come up with all your fun ideas?
I think this man deserves a standing ovation just for that right there. A standing ovation. Come on. He just gave us a little new ideas on how to make our sound better.
Thank you. Todd Haberkorn, future mayor of Midland.
And ladies and gentlemen, Miss Monica Rial's coming up.
Ghost stories. I'm like, really? In Australia? So, if you guys don't know what Ghost Stories is, Ghost Stories is a show that did not do very well in Japan. And at the time, the creators of the show said, hey, we just want to make our money back so our studio doesn't go under. Like, we are really hurting because it's not doing well. They even took it off the shelves in Japan. Like, they were like, And it's not that it's a bad show, it's just not a remarkable show. It's kind of Scooby-Doo-ish. There's not a lot going on. So when AUD got the rights to it, they basically said, you know, hey, can we do whatever we want with this show? They're like, yeah, whatever you want, which was their first mistake. So the director at the time, Stephen Foster, had this brilliant idea to just keep the names of the characters, and that's it. So every single character has been completely changed from the Japanese. The translation was thrown out the window. We created a brand new story on the fly, impromptu. And it was something that when it first came out, like the studio got like bomb threats, voice actors got death threats. Greg Ayers and I went to a convention to introduce it, Otakon in Maryland, and we got booed off the stage, which would probably make other people cry, but Greg and I were just like, We got food, yes. But at the time, everybody was really mad because they're like, how dare you change the Japanese? Well, the thing is, the Japanese is still there. I mean, you can still watch. It's got both on the DVD. You can watch the subtitled version. It's just that we gave you this really awesome dub that has nothing to do with the original. So it's like getting two shows for one. I didn't understand. Now people love it, and it's become kind of this cult classic. I will say, for anybody who is below the age of 18 or parents out there, it is offensive. So, yeah, don't let them watch ghost stories unless they're watching it in Japanese.
Before we start taking questions, we'll just kind of throw out a general one, because I'm sure everyone wants to know, how did you get into the industry of voice acting?
It's funny because he's here this weekend. I am a voice actor because of Jason Douglas.
Really?
Isn't that crazy? So Jason and Douglas and I went to college together, the University of Houston, and we've been friends for a very, very long time. But we were hanging out one day, and he's like, hey, I'm doing this. I can't do a Jason voice. I'm doing this thing. You should really do this thing that I'm doing. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm doing the voices of, the cartoons and stuff. I'm like, in Houston, Texas, they do that? Like, I thought all that was in LA. He's like, no, it's here in town. And so he gave me the number for ADV, and I remember calling the next day, and it was really weird. You know how sometimes life just tells you you're supposed to go a certain direction? Well, this is kind of how it was with voice acting. So I called the next day to ask about auditions, and they're like, well, we're having auditions this weekend. When can I fill you in? And I'm like, okay, I'll come in on Saturday. And I went in and auditioned, and I was like, wow, this is so much fun. This is so cool. And I knew what anime was because my brother was a huge anime fan. So stoked that it was in my town, that was in Houston. And then I waited for a while and I was like, man, that was so fun. I really hope I get a gig. And sure enough, I got called in for Martian Successor Nadeshko. Right after that, way back in the day, and that was my first role. And then it was kind of like, well, this is fun, but it's probably just a fleeting gig. I'm gonna go to college, and then this will be over. Maybe they'll throw me something every once in a while. And then here I am, almost 20 years later, and it's my job. So what I always tell young people, especially, is like, I thought I was gonna go to Broadway. Like that was my shtick. I'm gonna be on Broadway. I'm gonna go be in musical theater and Shakespeare and on stage. And then this thing kind of happened that made my whole life go. So what I like to tell young people is just because you think that there is one thing that you want to do and you only want to do that one thing, if other opportunities arise, try it out. You know what I mean? If somebody says, hey, I know you want to do this one thing, but maybe try this. Do it. Because you never know where it can take you. It brought me to Midland.
We are thankful for that, too.
Thank you.
We are very thankful. Okay, let's go ahead and start with questions. We'll start with you first.
Hello. Hi. Is Ghost Stories more offensive or less offensive than South Park?
That is really hard. I would say it's more offensive than South Park. Ooh. Yeah, because it pulls no punches. Just so you know, there is some in here, and I'm like, okay, it's never, for parents that are out there that are concerned, fan servicey does not mean like, it just means like, it's a little like, boing boing, right? So they always ask me, they're always like, hey, so are you gonna be okay with this? I'm like, well, it's not like they're my boobs. So yeah, I mean, they're animated, but at the same time, there goes a line. So like, we're working right now on a show called Death March to a Parallel World or Universe. Yeah, so the whole point of the show is that a young man goes and there's slaves being sold, right? And they're these young ladies. And so he buys these ladies and takes them in to save them from being bought by somebody horrible. Does that make sense? So it's actually supposed to be more of a caring relationship, but apparently the script adapter didn't get that note, and so there's some really, really like weird stuff. Thankfully, the director, Emily Neves, is very, very cautious about changing things just slightly to be more like the light novel. So instead of it sounding like this guy just went and got a whole bunch of cute girls as slaves, it's like, no, he's helping them. There's a reason behind it. And that's the big thing. As long as it's not something that I feel like is gonna be derogatory towards women, because there's a lot of ladies out here, and I don't want to give them the idea that that's okay, because it's not. And same thing with like harem shows. I want to make sure guys understand you're not going to have 8 ladies fighting over you at one time. They don't just fall from the sky, guys. I'm really sorry. I know that happens in anime a lot, but they don't do that. So as long as you guys understand, and and it's treated in a way that is respectful of ladies, that's a big deal to me. And that's why I love like Bulma so much, is because I think she's such a great female role model, because she's smart, she's intelligent, she's sexy, but she's also got all the guys. Like, she's got the fear of God in all of them, right? Anytime she opens her mouth, they're all like, so I think that's a great, not that you have to be bossy, ladies, but if you so choose.
And it's just because when I heard that one harem anime where like a guy has to be wary of like one of the harem girls could actually be his sister one, and one of the lines, because it was in like.
Oh yeah, don't say the line right now, please.
I'm not saying, but it was like, oh boy, I almost felt for Monica.
That one was not my favorite show. I
Yeah,
will say that.
I could tell, but I was like, oh boy.
Definitely not my favorite.
Okay, you sir right there. Go ahead.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
yes.
Oh, hi. Who do you think will win in a fight, Mary Jane as the Sea Devil or Goku?
I thought you were gonna go yours, and I had an answer, but you went Goku. Oh, okay. Here's the thing. Goku is strong. Oh, this is hard. Because here's the thing. Okay, so Hiro Mashima, right, the guy that's behind Fairy Tail, he already said on Twitter, because somebody asked him who would win in a fight, Urza or Mira Jane, and he said Mira Jane. So I really feel like there's a whole level of Mira Jane that we haven't even seen yet, which I'm hoping we'll see in the new season. Which I just found out was a thing, thanks to Todd. But hopefully we'll get to see more of it. Now, if you said Satan Soul, right? Does she have to stay in Satan Soul, or can she use all of her different forms?
She can use all of her different forms.
Okay, what about Goku? Can he only stay in one form, or can he use all of them too?
Different forms.
Oh. Okay. That's really hard. That's harder than Goku versus Superman, man. I would say, I don't know, because they're both so nice too. So it's not like one can out-nice the other. But I'm gonna go with my girl Mira Jane. I'm gonna say that Mira Jane would totally, if not for any other reason, then all she'd have to do is go, bad! And Goku would be like, oh, why am I bad? I don't understand. And then they probably just end up hugging it out, because both of them are too pure of heart to ever be evil. You know what I mean? I can't even imagine why they would even start fighting, unless it was over food or something like that.
There we go. Anyone else on this side over here? You start.
What made you want to do Bulma?
Oh gosh, I wish it was a choice. I mean, I would have loved to play Bulma either way. Well, so for those of you that don't know, I started on Kai. So I started in 2010, right? So there have been like 8 different Bulmas. But I'm almost at 10 years, which means I'm almost the longest. So it was one of those situations where you don't ask questions, right? Chris Sabat called me one day, and I was very familiar with Dragon Ball. My brother is a huge Dragon Ball fan. My family's from Spain. We would go every summer, and I'd have to get up really early to watch this show called Los Bolos de Dragón. And then I'd have to translate it for him because he didn't speak very good Spanish. So I've already played every character in Dragon Ball for my little brother. So I was very familiar with that. In fact, it didn't come to the States until like 3 years later. And I'm like, the 2 things that followed me were Dragon Ball and the Macarena. It's like, why? But it was one of those times where Christopher Sabat called me in. Whenever Chris calls me in for an audition, I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. So I went in. And he's like, oh, I need you to audition for this thing. And I'm like, okay, sweet. And a picture of Bulma popped up, and I swear to you, I think I screamed. I was like, what? So that's Bulma. And he goes, oh, yeah, you know Dragon Ball? Yeah, I know Dragon Ball. What's wrong with you? So I didn't even ask questions. I was like, okay, sweet, I'm going to give it my all. And I auditioned, and then when I got the call that I was actually going to play Bulma, one of my favorite moments in life was calling my little brother and saying, guess what? And if you tell anybody, I'm going to have to kill you because I signed an NDA. But, non-disclosure agreement. But I will tell you, and he was, I mean, it was a real cool, like, brother-sister moment. But yeah, I love Bulma. I've always been drawn to Bulma. Getting to do Kai was awesome, especially because all the guys, they've been doing it for such a long time, and to get to do it again, and like with all of that acting experience is rad. But then now to get to do the movies and Super and all this new material, in Kai I tried really hard to pay homage to the Bulmas that came before me. But finally, when it got to the movie and Supers, I really feel like, okay, I get to make her my own now. Like this is my Bulma, literally. So I was like, I'm gonna kind of add more of my personality into it. And so, but I also did Kai, but I also went back and did Curse of the Blood Rupees, which is like the first Dragon Ball film when they first meet up. So it's kind of cool because I got to have a little piece of all of, well, except for GT, but let's just, I got to have a piece of all of the cool Dragon Ball. But yeah, so I absolutely love her, and I'm so excited that in Super she's such a big part of the story. And she's not just the girl that, whips out all of her inventions and saves the day. She actually is an integral part of the story.
All right, yes, you. Right over there, you right there. Yes, you.
What is your favorite kind of cheese?
I can't eat cheese. I am allergic to casein, which is what makes cheese cheese. And I only found out about 6 months ago, so I'm a little broken up about it. No, it's hard because casein is in a lot of different things, but especially cheese. I even looked it up as soon as I found out. I was like, what cheese doesn't have casein? Surprise! None of them. Because that's what makes cheese. But before that, my favorite cheeses were, I liked port wine. And the balls that have nuts on the outside. Whoa. I liked feta. I liked really sharp cheddar cheeses. I liked the cheeses that smelled like dirty gym socks. Those are my favorites. They're the tastiest. Who else has a question? I'll let you pick.
Go ahead, and then we'll go to this side.
Alright, so, do you have fun working with Jeremy Lay?
Yes, we all record individually, so it's not like we actually get to work off of each other, but I absolutely adore Jeremy. She's a precious, precious pumpkin. And so yeah, I really like working with her. We just recently did an episode of Pop Team Epic together, and we got matched, and it was so much fun to get to do it with Jeremy because it was like two little bitty voices, and we got to be all these different things. So yeah, I love Jeremy. She's awesome. She's really, really sweet, guys. If you get the chance to meet Jeremy, I do suggest it. Just don't call her Jeremy.
All right, go ahead, Leslie.
Are there any characters that you wanted to voice but then didn't get the opportunity to? Like somebody else got the part?
There are quite a few actually. I've always wanted to play monsters, and nobody will ever let me play monsters because I sound like a 5-year-old, right? But there was one show on Moon Phase. Colleen Clickerbeard was finally like, all right, fine, I'll let you be monsters. And she was really impressed. She's like, hey, I'm gonna have to pitch everything down, way down, but hey, good monster noises. So that was my first. I wanted to be the monster in every show that I ever did. The big one that I can think of is, have you guys heard of Umaru-chan? The little girl with the otaku girl with the Coca-Cola and thing.
Yes.
So I auditioned for that show and I wanted to do it so bad. But because I was in Watamote and I played Tomoko, which is kind of in the same vein, they were like, and Emily Neves is Umaru-chan, and she is freaking phenomenal. So if you have not seen Umaru-chan, definitely see it. Once I found out it was Emily, I was like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. But that was the big one. I was like, oh, this is so cute. Oh. So now I try not to get too attached because you never know. You know what I mean? Like I gambled for a while and I was very lucky to get all the roles that I wanted. So now I'm like, I probably shouldn't push it. So I try to go in kind of blind if I can without too much information.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Okay, out of Kaino, Suyu, and Yana, which one did you like playing best?
Kaino, Suyu, and Yona? Don't make me big! I'm not really into the celestial sign stuff and all that, but I am a Libra, so I will say that is the one thing that is really true of Libras. We hate decisions so hard. And here's the thing too, I have lucked out, and I don't know if it's because my voice is weird and I sound like a child, or if it's because I'm not afraid to look like an idiot in the booth, or why, but I get to play all the cool characters. Like, they might not always be the pretty princess, but they're the ones that, like, are the psychos, or the really aggressive ones, or the crazies. I love them. So on that one especially, the studio didn't do a lot for a long time. Like, I know everybody is like, Studio's best girl, and I'm like, but all she does is go, hey everybody, what's going on? Just call me Sue. I'm like, wait, hold on. But then she had her own episode last season, and that was so cool, because we got some real character development. And then Kaide, I can't spoil anything, but if you haven't seen Assassination Classroom, oh boy, talk about a change around. So that was super fun. And then Yona, same thing. I mean, like that, she is such a strong woman. Such a strong woman.
Do you think there is going to be another season for Yona?
I want there to be another season.
Because there needs to be.
There needs to be. Just met the fourth dragon. Why are you gonna do me like that, Yona of the Dawn? Like, they seriously went, here's a new character, he's awesome. Show's over. That's not how that works. So I'm gonna be silly and just say I can't pick one, because I love all three of them, and I really honestly do love all three of those characters for totally different reasons. And they're all very strong ladies, which is what makes me happy.
And I'm glad that you like the pearl earrings that I gave you.
Yes, oh my gosh, it's so cool. I need to take it. It's in my little box, or my suitcase under the thing. I need to take it out and put it on display. You guys have been so sweet bringing me stuff. I feel like I'm gonna have like a shrine at the back of my booth. It's just things people have brought me.
I gave one to Todd too and has it on his table.
I saw it. It's so cute. I've almost knocked it over several times. My butt is very large. Sorry not to.
Go ahead, sir. Use the glasses. Yes.
But I know the concept of the series.
So you've seen and heard when people are debating about the crappy Netflix adaptation and
Yes,
the original.
I've seen that. I've not seen the Netflix adaptation, but I've heard that.
So, have you seen any trailers for it?
Yes, I saw the one with William Dafoe's character.
Rial.
Yes. Is that all you wanted to know?
Well, I had a question pertaining on to the question that I asked that you had.
Well, I have an interesting segue to that. So, like, I went to a film festival last week and talked to a whole bunch of writers out from LA that are working on features and television and stuff. And I was explaining to them, I was like, I think anime is going to be the next place where you guys need to look. Right now, comic books are really popular, but there are some stories in anime that are awesome. And I was like, but here's what you need to do. Don't try to recreate the anime. Don't, because nobody can do it justice usually. Like, it's very rare. I will say the Tokyo live action movie from Japan is very good, but it's really hard to do that, to convey those stories in such a short amount of time so quickly. So I told them, I was like, what you need to do is take the concepts. Take the idea of, like, say, Tokyo Ghoul, like, that there are ghouls on Earth and that, you know, they end up being merged and this is what happens, but don't call them Kaneki and don't call them Toka and don't, just make it its own thing. Because if you try to do exactly the anime, I feel like it always falls flat, you know what I mean? So I kind of told them, like, if you're gonna do this, take the ideas, take the inspiration from it, use it as a muse, but don't try to do it verbatim. Kind of like with Ghost in the Shell. Like, that anime, or that movie was kind of shot for shot in some places, the anime, but people were still, I mean, of course with Scarlett Johansson, there was a big old deal about that, but on top of that too, people were like, it's not gonna be like the anime, so I don't wanna go watch it. But if they had changed and taken that idea and turned it into something else, people would have been much more interested in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the gentleman had the red phone over there. Yeah, go ahead.
What's your favorite and least favorite actor to work with?
I can't tell you that. I would get in so much trouble. I will tell you that the people here, like, I absolutely love working with Jason and Todd. I was the director for a show called Triple X Holic, which Todd played Watanuki. And it's not the Triple X you're thinking. Not at all. Not at all. But when we were working on that, I spent a lot of time with Todd, and man, he has inspired me to become a better voice actor. Like, when I worked with him, I was like, I learned all these things. He kept doing all these what we called wild takes. Like he would do a take to picture and it didn't work, so he would just start doing the take several times. And I'm like, we can do that? Like nobody told me that was a thing we could do. So we got really close on that one, and I really enjoyed working with him. But yeah, I like working with people that I have chemistry with already as friends. So like Jamie Markey and I always have a great time working together because it's like when you're good friends, you kind of know what the other one's how they're gonna react. Chris Sabat and I mean, we've been married in every other show, or love interests, or siblings in Fairy Tale. And I think that the reason we get cast opposite each other a lot is because we're such good friends, and I can almost hear his voice in my head when I'm reading my lines if he's not there, and vice versa. Sounds crazy. It's like we've got a kinetic thing going on. But yeah, I think that the people I like working with the most are the people who I'm friends with. I'm gonna make it very broad, but you get your answer. The people I like working with the least are the people who are full of themselves, and the people who think that they're, God's gift to voice acting. And I just kind of want to shake them and go, I understand that you think you're awesome, but let me put this in perspective. You are a language track option. You are not the first person to record this role. You are the second. You are only there so discs can be sold at Walmart. I think it's wonderful that people love us, and thank you guys for supporting us, but when it comes down to it, we are just a language track option. And so when people get too big for their britches, I really don't like working with those people because I'm like, look, I have voiced more anime than anybody in the United States. If I can stay humble, you can stay humble, guy that's done 3 shows. You know what I mean? I'm gonna leave it very vague.